Welcome back. I am Chan the Tech Man. I want to thank you for tuning in and going to play Uber Live again, of course, and see if this loads up okay. Going to do some pellet drops first, then do some reading. Okay, this looks okay. Had to restart for some reason. And now we're back. Sometimes that older game, I guess, glitches the computer out a little bit. I don't know what it flashes when I first come on. Let's do some reading. But let's do this first. I'm already forgetting what I'm doing. I do want to do some more things here eventually. But we're working on something the other night, but Saturday night, but my internet went out. I finally got it fixed, so sounded like somebody going to the restroom. I'm sorry, but it does. Look at all the different textures and stuff they had to upload. Pretty neat. Let me check this. No drop. So we got the internet fixed. They didn't crimp some cables. It's been like that for years, I guess. And called a guy out today, and he came out and kept looking, and I thought it was something else. So good thing he knew. He checked all the cables, and usually it's the main line. And maintenance issue. I guess they finally got that fixed, and they never did check this other. So a while back it was several different things, and now with just that crimp that wasn't crimped. So when weather changes, especially, it gets I noticed some as far as the night, it gets a worse signal. It gets worse internet connection, and I guess that's why. And the weather changes. He just showed me, he pulled it right on out of there. It wasn't crimped at all. So and we got that. This scans that with a laser. If you're watching this, do me do this for the first time, that skewers it. And you have to be standing there. I don't know if it's a glitch in the game or if it's designed that way. You have to be standing there before that drops. If you don't, it will not drop. You have to walk back up. So if you're thinking you can get out of there real quick, don't work that way. And you get these scores and you can upload them. I'm thinking about making my own neighborhood on here, but I haven't made my mind up yet. To make it public so others maybe could join it. We'll see. Complete Chronicles, this is different. When it goes all the way up, it's good. And you want it white light in Complete Chronicles. And when you do here too, but then to do pellet scores, you want it to orange. In one part, you do want it white to view something. You have to have that symbol, which that symbol is different on here than Complete Chronicles. So that's why I do encourage you to play both games. They are different. Complete Chronicles is I don't know if you could say better gameplay stuff, but more puzzles and stuff. And this one has puzzles, but it's more geared towards the online multiplayer experience. This one is, because you have to have several people to help you, so it's made geared towards a multiplayer. It's more in this one. And once it goes back down, you can restart it. I gotta go down the steps first. And now I'm going to go to the reading. Go to the Nexus. There's a lot of reading in here. I don't know if some of this I've already read or not, but I want to read it again just in case there's something different. I haven't read the books in that round room. I know that, but I mean, and the Complete Chronicles was these books already there in the Relto and the other side bookcase. There's two bookcases in the Relto. There was a bunch of books in there in the Complete Chronicles on the bookshelf, where this one it wasn't. So I read 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now this one's the next. Should be 7 left. Yep. I might click AFK FK to read these so they'll know I'm reading. Seems like I read this one. Merita took the throne in 17 79 at the young age of 31. I did not read this one. There was multiple leaders, many of them from the church, who publicly feared the appointment of Myrta would cause great damage to the already fragile religious structure. Their fears appeared to have been justified, as Myrta's reign was a turbulent one. In fact, it was often stated that it was his mother, Jola, who ruled the throne for most of the Myrta's 236 years in power. Myrta himself had no time to rule Denny. He was too busy, too focused on satisfying the women who ruled him. Okay, we read. This is another book about him. The other one was about the woman and his mom. In 1817, Myrta proposed construction of the Temple of the Tree, marking the first time any king officially supported anything other than the original beliefs of Renerif. Just as important, Myrta suggested that the line of the Great Zero, which had been chosen by Renerif, was inaccurate. However, he did not officially change the line. He most likely realized such a change would have carried far too many implications upon the society concerning construction, navigation, etc. His goals, or Jolath, his mom, in such a remark were simply to question the beliefs of Renerif and encourage the cults to build in a newer section of the city. His remarks were all that were needed. The temple was built with strong opposition from some. In 1843, a few years later, Myrta sanctioned the construction of the Temple of Water and the Temple of the Sacred Stone. Both were finished in 1876 and 1902, respectively. All were built on Myrta's recommended line of the Great Zero. As the years passed, cults sprang up everywhere, wreaking havoc on the religious beliefs the Denny had once had. The Temple of Yalvo was empty, and its priests and prophets were small in number, as many had left to pursue other beliefs. In 1975, Myrta attempted to change the rules and restrictions of the Writers' Guild, including altering their oaths. You remember getting into that in the previous book. He claimed his proposals would leave them more flexible in their writing and allowing the Denny to do more. However, the proposal was met with staunch resistance from Grandmaster Tremmel, who adamantly opposed the king and, as the records show, refused to change the oath that Ailish had written. As it turns out, the refusal cost Tremmel his life, many say on order from Jolath. Years later, many viewed Tremmel's refusal as one of the most heroic deeds of Denny history. If those rules and oaths had changed, many believed, as Tremmel had, the path to tyranny would not have been long behind. And that is why we exist, wrote Tremmel. Once Tremmel was found dead, the Writers' Guild as a whole refused to change the proposed changes in the oath and regulations in support of their fallen comrade. Eventually, Jolath, through Myrta, gave up trying. So we've read that part. This goes into a little different detail about it. You just have to watch the other videos to see that. By far, Jolath's most destructive action came in the year of her death in 1999. She convinced her son to break the seal of the tomb of the great king. Why she wished for such an action is not clear, although numerous possibilities were proposed years later. Though few in number, there was still some who believed the great king would return, and Jolath was infuriated at any power the great king had. She possibly wanted to prove once and for all that he was dead, an impostor and fool. Others wrote that she was interested in gaining access to some of the ancient books, as the tree believed they held special powers. Still others said she was simply mad, while others claimed she was possessed and an agent of Jakuth. Regardless, the seal was broken. The act was carried out in secret in the dead of night, as even those who opposed the great king would have found such an action blasphemous and dangerous. A number of books were taken from the tomb and placed in the temple of the tree, aligned with what Jolath claimed was a piece of robe from the body of the great king. Along with Jolath died 2 days later from an unknown illness, while the books she had taken out remained in the temple of the tree. Merodach quietly ordered the tomb sealed again, and much stronger. It was said that Merodach believed his mother had been cursed for entering the grave, and he himself was petrified of it, or any mention of the great king in the later years of his life. Merodach, known as an unfaithful man, died 15 years later with one of his lovers. Guild of Healers records indicate massive poisoning as the cause of his death. He was 267. His murderer was never discovered, although there were numerous suspects. Though he had many enemies, most agreed it was either his wife, for obvious reasons, or a son who despised his father's weakness and a lack of judgment. Ironically, it was that son, his oldest, whom he left the throne to. From the Journals of the Prophets, I'm not going to try to say that. Present existence for such a claim on previous ages. The line of the Great Zero could either point from the Great Zero itself towards magnetic north, as Vernef had chosen, or towards another prominent landmark, as Merodach suggested it should have been. Grand Master Timus of the Guild of Writers, in a speech of the Five Lords in 7d34. Jokuth was the equivalent of the devil in the Denny religion. He wanted to change it because he didn't believe it should be magnetic north, it should be towards a landmark. But a magnetic north would make more sense. Let's see who was writing. Let's see. Let me click on them. Let's go over here. I guess he was, or they was, walking through, because it doesn't show. King Gan. Not too long. Gan took the throne in 2015 at the age of 144, though he was not necessarily convinced of the greatness of the great king, or Yavo for that matter. Gan was far from the despot his father was. Unfortunately, he was never quite given the chance to do much for his people as the sins of his grandmother consumed his reign in the throne. Should be on the throne. 6 months after Gan's coronation, the first signs of the plague began to show themselves. Eventually, the healers would discover that the plague was an evolved version of the disease that Iyslander had created to destroy the Pinto. The evolved version cut Denny's lifespan in half and caused massive infertility for the elderly and the young. Death usually came quick in the form of heart failure. The appearance of the plague and the eventual announcement that it was similar to what the great king had created caused the public to cast most of their blame for the illness on the great king. Very few people knew of Joash's request to open the tomb. Those who knew of the breaking of the seal seemed to have not spoken of it, or possibly were not heard if they did. Numerous records indicate that as far as the public was concerned, the plague was the great king's fault. Somewhat surprisingly, because of the infertility rates, Gan managed to have a son in 2050. He died 20 years later at the age of 199 after being on the throne for only 55 years, the shortest of any king. Gan left his son a population that was slowly dying, both physically and emotionally, and there was no cure in sight. The plague ended up killing over a quarter of Denny's population and cutting birth rates in half until its cure was found in 2262. I guess that she was one was walking around, because I heard somebody. They was. I don't know if it's a he or she. I'm not going to... Bae-Nasharin. Bae-Nasharin. Oh, I got it. Took the throne in 2070 at the age of 20, a record that was never surpassed. He was extremely young to inherit the throne, and his short reign displayed his immaturity. It was said that there was never any control or leadership from the throne while Bae-Nasharith sat on it. I'm going to put on instead of, I'm going to say on instead of in. It just doesn't sound right saying in. As a result, the people were forced to look elsewhere for some kind of trust or hope. Most turned to religion, leading to many more factions and cults. Many claimed healing powers either from nature, special leaders, or Yahweh himself through a variety of different means. It seems clear that Bae-Nasharit wavered in his stance on just about everything, including religion. In some speeches, he begged Yahweh for healing, while in others he sought for help from the tree. In the meantime, he was of no help to the healers or chemists, both of which were working hard to find a cure. In fact, some of Bae-Nasharin, I already forgot how you say it. Bae-Nasharin's speeches point to public condemnation of the guilds, accusing them of shallow efforts and failing their own people. Those who held faith in any cure existed outside of miracle and or special potions were few and far between. The population continued to die at the amount of children born decreased tremendously. Bae-Nasharith himself died in 2193 at the young age of 143 without any descendants to leave the throne to. In fact, so few children were being born that Bae-Nasharith had trouble choosing an heir even from his own staff. As a result, he chose his 179-year-old uncle to take the throne after his death. It was later said that some higher power must have been involved in such a choice, as Ben-Nasser was far too ignorant to choose an heir that made so much sense. It was often customary to choose the child of a staff member if a king did not wish to choose or could not any of his own blood. Taken from the writings of Grand Master Isham of the Guild of Legislators. Next, we got some more there. 4 more. King Hemelin. Hemelin took the throne in 2193 at the age of 179. Hemelin had been a guild master in the Guild of Healers, and it was said he took the throne with rage in his heart and fire in his mouth. He was extremely angered over public opinion of his guild and made it his mission to make sure that a cure was found. Some say he exhibited more power and authority in the throne in 1 week that his nephew had in 123 years. Hemelin was fairly convinced that a cure lay in the books of old, and he had been encouraging the healers to look there long before his coronation as king. However, his nephew had been hesitant to allow access to the books, something that immediately changed once Hemelin had authority to look through them. Hemelin seemed to be a fairly devout follower of Yalvo and often claimed that only Yalvo would heal them, not the other gods that his people were seeking. In 2255, Hemelin became extremely ill. Most thought was about and most thought he was about to die. That's what it said. The Guild of Healers continued to try and prevent death, but the prognosis was very grave. It was during his days in the sickbed that he met a woman named Leyland. She helped to take care of him, and as time passed, Hemelin found himself living just to see her one more time. As he wrote later, Leyland must have felt the same way. The new love seemed to forge a new will to live. Hemelin recovered, and to the day he died, praised Leyland for the reason he was able to defeat the plague. 2 years later, Leyland helped the rest of Dini defeat the plague. Rumors say that while searching through the old histories that her relationship offered her access to, she found hints as to where more of the old books had been kept. It was a few months later that the book of Barina, a particular book that Hemelin had always sought, was found. 6 years after the discovery, the Guild of Healers led by Grand Master Jason considered the plague cured. Records point to tremendous celebration like had never been seen before, and newfound optimism spread throughout the culture, and unofficially the Dini Renaissance began. It should also be noted that on this day in 2062, King Hemelin and Leyland wed in a grand ceremony. In 2270, the first post-plague child was born, and Hemelin promised to give him the throne as a symbolic gesture of hope and celebration. Though Hemelin tried to use the end of the plague as a tool to encourage his people back to Yalvo, it did not seem to succeed. Instead, there seemed to be a newfound love of the culture itself, of the arts, of technology, and further exploration in the truths of the universe. In 2350, the Guild of Miners, Guild of Miners, following the encouragement of Hemlin, announced their plans for drastic improvement in mining methods and technologies. Hemlin left an upbeat but rather dazed culture to his successor when he passed away at the age of 342 in 2356. From the Healing of Denny, written by 2294, though others did live through the illness, Healer records indicate a disease reached its later stages. A drink was developed to prevent the body from contracting the illness even when directly exposed. From the Healing of Denny, as a result, the day became a day often chosen for marriage in later years. Taken from the journals of King Hume, written by this. Okay, we got that one read. Now 3 more. Do the AFK. King Henish. I don't know how long this is. It's not long, just these. Henish took the throne in 2533 at the age of 66. Henish's first major accomplishment was the ordering of the construction of the new Guild of Miners facility. The construction marked the first use of extrusion in construction, and work began in 2577 and finished in 2580, marked a much faster and more efficient means of building. Henish had been a member of the Guild of Stonemasons before his coordination. As such, records point to him being extremely interested in the mining and construction technologies that were being pursued. As well, Henish was one of the strongest proponents for expansion within the cave system. Though Henish pushed for expansion was not met with much enthusiasm. At the time, it set the foundation for great expansion that would occur under the reign of his son Nidra, with the sculptor Lekri leading the charge. Henish was apparently also very interested in pursuing better relationships with other cultures, often pushing for other interactions and increased trade. He not only opened up the rules of trade, but also pushed the cultural rules concerning relationship with those of non-Denny blood. In 2709, 5 years after the death of his first wife, who died giving birth to his fourth son, Henish married a woman of non-Denny blood. The fact that the marriage was met with little opposition was a sign in itself of the relaxing attitude of the people toward the outsiders. The effect of such action upon the culture was grand. Foreign materials were used much more in construction as well as clothing and jewelry. And foreign music and art influence began to show itself in the Denny art of the day. It was apparently some kind of thankfulness that with some It was apparently with some thankfulness that Henish's second wife did not bear him a son. Though the culture had relaxed, it is rather clear that the public did not want to even have to deal with the possibility of non-Denny blood in the throne. In fact, one author went so far as to say, even had they bore a child, it would have made for a very uneasy public. To have such a being living with the palace, perhaps taking the public's acceptance too far. Heinrich died in 2779 at the age of 312, leaving his fourth son to rule. There had been strict regulations up to that point concerning import goods and travel between ages. Up to that point, no one, most of all a king, dared to marry an outsider. From how far they came, a detailed look at what started the Medici War. Huh. One more. Well, let's do the AFK. Read that. Took the throne in 2779 at the age of 75. Nidra had been a member of the minor guilds of sculptors at the same time as the great sculptor Necker, and as a result, the two were just more details of him. Excellent friends. As Nidra took the throne, Leykir, who was 4 years younger, was starting to be recognized. Those who had seen his work were already claiming him as one of the greatest artists Denny had ever seen, even though most had never heard his name. Nidra had always been a proud supporter of cave expansion, and once he gained the throne, made it his mission to make sure that his people felt the same way. Nidra's three older brothers were very close to him, and in fact took the role of his closest advisors. Each was a guild master. The oldest was with the Guild of Miners, the second with the Guild of Stonemasons, and the third with the Guild of Architects. Because of their position, each ended up having a great effect on the accomplishments of Nidra. Most of the evidence supports the fact that it was not Nidra's persuasive speech or motivational abilities alone that pushed the expansion, but also the fantastic skill and talent of Leykir. He only needed one chance to prove his skill to the public, and Nidra gave him that opportunity in 2807 with the design of a monument to the discovery of the Book of Dirini. After that, Leykir, along with Nidra and his brother, presented a plan for a new residential district. From that point forward, it seems as though expansion could not have been stopped even if someone had tried. Throughout the 221 years of Nidra's reign, 4 new districts were begun, including the residential Jairin, the elite of the elite district, Kali, the business district of Kali, and industrial district managing importation and manufacturing of foreign goods. I ain't going to read that. In 2916, the Guild of Mechanics announced industrial extrusion aligned for further improvements in construction methods, including unistructural buildings. Nidra passed away in the year of 3000 at the age of 296. He had 2 daughters, but no sons of his own to give the throne. Instead, he chose the oldest son of his brother to succeed. From this book, The Man from Something, instead of joining the blocks that had been used up to that point, unistructural construction allowed for the weaving of different stone, almost like a sweater, as one historian described it, making it appear as a single seamless piece of stone. One more in this side. And let's check the stream recording. And that is doing good. Seems like we've got that fixed, the internet fixed. King Rekhiri, gonna be quite long. Not too bad, I guess. Rekhiri took the throne in 3000 at the age of 81. In the same year, Rekhiri's coronation ceremony, a man by the name of Tivar was born. Beginning in 3077, many say he defined Rekhiri's reign more than Rekhiri himself. Tivar was an ardent follower of the great king and spent his entire growing up studying the king's teachings and words. By the time he was 65, he was apparently appalled at the state of his people, especially pertaining to religious matters. Though he began on a small scale, in a matter of years, Tivar became one of the most influential men in Dini history. He was a powerful leader, a gifted speaker, and a tremendous motivator, and by 3077, a well-known name. It was 3077 that Tivar publicly denounced the sects and his peoples, including the government's lack of faith in the principles and laws of Yahweh that they were founded upon. He often pointed to the council chamber and other government structures that now covered the tomb of the great king as a symbol of what the hearts and souls of Dini had become. There is no longer time for religion, as government and power have stolen our love, he stated numerous times. Most of the public seemed to agree with Tivar, especially concerning the tomb of the great king and its covering. They believe they should never have allowed it to happen. Although not remembered as a great event in itself, most historians agree that credit should be given to Rekhiri's reaction to the teachings of Tivar. Rekhiri at first was infuriated at Tivar's speech and his apparent disapproval of the culture. In return, he denounced Tivar and his teachings and even threatened to have him imprisoned. In 3081, Rekhiri supposedly attended one of Tivar's speeches in an effort to ridicule it and give the other side to the public. Instead, he ended up in a public debate with Tivar. According to witnesses, it was a debate that Tivar clearly won, though Tivar handled the debate with the king as best as he could. At times, his words were rather harsh, words to which the king had no response, and they ended up bringing quite a bit of ridicule upon himself instead of Tivar. However, instead of ordering Tivar's death, which he probably could have done, he returned to his palace and thought about what he had heard. 5 days later, Rekhiri personally invited Tivar to the palace, and later that same day announced that he had chosen Tivar as his main prophet and asked forgiveness from his people for the wrong not only of himself but of the kings before him. Those who personally witnessed the speech of Vakiri left the event transformed. It was not long until their personal transformation began to change the entire culture. By 3100, 600 years after government records showed 2,500 registered sects, there were 47 sects in existence. Only 10 of those sects memberships was greater than 500. The public seemed to return again to the beliefs their culture had been founded upon, those that Renarif had taught and the great king had expanded upon. Ooh, that's a long reading, though, isn't it? The people were again unified and much work was done to join the classes of rich and poor. By that time had already begun to separate. There was major renovation and deteriorating districts, mostly poor, and construction of a new theater company and concert hall in the Delaware district, what had been one of the poor districts in the entire city. In 3112, Rakiri announced with Taviar by his side plans for grand renovations and almost complete reconstruction of the great temple. Rakiri also announced that the old line of the Great Zero was accurate and should be honored again. The temple itself was to take advantage of handheld extruder technology that had been developed in 3092, as well. The great artist Fali was to paint the inside of the temple, and it turned out it was Fali's final masterpiece as he passed away in 3123, 6 months after the completion of the temple. For the remaining years of Rakiri's reign, expansion continued both outside and inside the cavern. New mining technology was seemingly announced annually, bringing with it great prestige to the relatively newly formed major guild of miners. Tivar passed away at the young age of 218 in 3218. Rakiri was so greatly disturbed that at his passing that he ordered 5 days of national sadness. There were minor protests from a few of the still remaining sects who obviously did not follow the order, but for the most part, Denny mourned with Rakiri over the loss of the prophet. Rakiri died a year after Tavar at the age of 300, leaving the throne to his firstborn son, Tajar. From Yavel's voice, written by Adish in 3143, many witnesses his testimonies of the event are chronicled in Yavel's voice. According to the prophet Shammah, Rakiri was greatly affected by the words. He refused to speak to anyone for 2 days following the debate. Though women usually took the role of prophets, the choice of Tivar was one that no one argued. Shema herself was said to be thrilled that Tivar's wisdom was being sought. It's from Yavel's voice, and that's considered by the most to be the greatest artist of the Adeni Renaissance. Whew. I read that side. So we got that one to go, and that one's going to be a lot. It's going to be more than the other side. So, phew. A whole lot of reading going on, wasn't it? And I want to go check. I want to see if those pellets are done. I don't know. The 40, 30, 20 took 4 hours, so I don't know how long this one will take. And then it's not done because the light's not on. Let's see. Okay, it's still got a little while yet. I really don't want to read any more on this stream. Reading too much at once is hard to keep up with it all, and it's good to have it broken up a little bit. And I would like to get on recording forgot how to add people. Okay, let's add them. And Bevan. I encourage you to get a copy of this game. It's play it free. Mist Online or Uber Live. I like this music. I don't mind the thunder. It kind of gives it a good ambiance, or whatever you would call it. I want to try to figure out, okay, personal imager, and I think I can get into, let's see, I'm going to put that on there for sure. And that was a good time. So there's using the glitch. Oh, okay. Ralto, they named it, I guess. I think I put that one on there. First time I encountered somebody. That's me without the goggles. It's another good image. Uh-oh. Okay. I definitely want to make a video of that. Got a lot of stuff I want to do. That's a really nice Happy New Year sign. Yeah, I did add them, so need to go through and add some more. There's another good, that's a good image. Adding them all. I don't know if I could. I love it when people watch the videos. I love it, love it. Just getting, I love to entertain people, make them laugh, and give them enjoyment, and learn something even. I think I put that one there. Let's do it again. And look at there. Let's add, I was wanting to add, they're not on there. One I wanted to add, they're not on there. Okay, let's go. Go to my neighborhood. Walk around for a minute. That's the neighborhood book, and I think you can delete that. Hit that. That must be the Denny sign for delete, or maybe I thought that was one, but or I don't know what that is. I know it's to delete the neighborhood. I don't think that's the Denny sign for one, but it might be. Want to log in. I'm not going to upload the pellet score. Maybe I can see. I like logging in. And let's see if I can add pictures to this one. It's a nice picture to add. That's a good picture to add. Get a good picture to add. I might already did that, but I'm going to do it again. Like it's flat on the bottom. Maybe it's just the way it looked. I said you can get it on your head. Oh! Walked up it. Wanted to see about Eddie. I just can't control it very good. I'm going to try to get it in the corner to see if I can bounce it back and forth. Thing is, let's not run. Look, I walk up it. If you hit it a certain way. This thing is, I guess, going to be sharp and straight enough to do that. Uh-oh. I want to... Oh, no. That's where they did it at. It's over there. I'm not going to try that because I had to get downstairs and people will be mad at me. Oh, let's show you a little bit of it. We tried to do this Saturday night. My internet was messing up because of the bad wire connection that I told you about. But so I didn't upload that. And let's see, it goes this way. I think it is. Look at there. You can get on this train and let's see. It was actually really good. It was 3 other people, and it was really nice. It's a shame that it didn't work out. I hope we can do it again. It was really nice. You could it's a little trick you can do, a little glitch. It's pretty neat. And let me see. I'll walk over here. This is a little walk, but it's worth it. You run that away and you stay on it. That's pretty neat. How far I can get up. You know that you can ride that over to here if you remember watching my previous videos, and that's how you get inside there. Is the other part detaches. You make the other part detach, go inside there. Then when that one's inside there, yeah, it takes several, at least I guess 2 different people. You make the other part go all back, and then you make this one go back. I might be wrong in the order making on this, but you make that one go back, then it'll jump, and I think it'll jump over to that side. Then it'll eventually come back. But it looks like it jumps to that side. It might be jumped to this side, but I'm pretty sure it was to this side. Looky there. And I think that side over there had a longer harvest track. It's, you don't see the end of that one. And I'll show you. There's I guess it was maybe cave-in or something, but part of the track broke. I seen somebody do this, and they kind of like doing the different things you can do on this game, maybe little glitches or whatever you would call it. The physics engine. See, they harvested these things. This is a young one. This is an older one. There's some bigger than that, I think. They harvested that for maybe food, maybe to make the pellets. The pellets could be made out of that. I think this one was harvested because you can see it cut off. And the pellets do look like that. And see this cave-in here. You see part of the track down there. I don't know if it was an earthquake or what. It was a cave-in of some sort, or a sinkhole or something. And you can see clearly that that track goes back a good ways. So it's probably longer, that section. You cannot get over there to check unless you can take advantage of some glitch to go over there. It would be interesting to see. If it is, if you can, I'll put it on the video. See those, you can see how some of these were harvested. Some of those got pretty tall. Maybe it was, you can see how this was cut off. See that one, the taller one over there was cut off. You can see it, see how that was cut off. They harvested those. And I think you can see more down this way. See, that one was harvested. You know that grew in between the lines, so they could have done that just for. See, this one doesn't go that far, but you can clearly see the other one went farther. And the reason why this one didn't go that far is, well, it's closed at that end. So that part of the cavern, or whatever you call it, was ended. So I wonder if I can walk up on there. Nope. But that was the start or an end, or whatever you would, however you want to say it. See, clearly over here, this, you can't go any farther. So that was the reason why that was a short distance. And you wonder why couldn't they just walk over there? Well, it could be a long distance, especially when you're carrying something that big and you get several of them. It'd take us, basically, it would just be, I don't know, a lot easier to build this, because once that's built, you can just use it over and over again. And those blades would go down and cut them. So it's an automatic thing. So it's a lot better, a lot easier. That was a young one. And this is over here where we linked in. I don't know how far I can get up there. See, if you go the other way, then there was a Relto page in here on Uru Live. On Complete Chronicles, there were some symbols and a symbol that you need to collect. And the last part of the symbol was at where I told you about, in the cavern, that you needed a light to get to in the Complete Chronicles. So there's a little different. I like playing in water. I like these textures. There's the Relto page. Did you get these things on your Relto? You've seen them on my Relto, and that's where I got it. If you've been watching, you probably already know. Well, that's the Pellet Age, and Arcana, whatever. And I encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the notification bell to get notified when I become live, so you can see those out here. Like this video, get in the comment section and the live chats when I go live. And I'm on Twitch too. Follow me on there. And thank you and very much. Facebook, Chan, the Tech Man. It's Chan Tech Man. Let me find out here. Chan the Tech Man. Or you go facebook.com/Chan Techman, no spaces. And I encourage you to do that. And follow me on Facebook, because I post stuff on there. Just different things. I might post links from other websites about Uru Live, because they have gatherings and events and stuff that are pretty nice on here. And a tour is coming up here pretty soon, so I will post a link to that on my Facebook. If you're watching this recorded a little while later, you might not have that tour. I guess I'll have them regularly though. And I like the lightning. And excuse me, thought I had a bench over here somewhere, and I do. Hold on, click on it and sit down. And I can. And thank you for watching. I'm Chan the Tech Man, and like I've already said 100 times. And remember, my website is chansmith.me. It's CHANSMITH.me. And I encourage you to go there. And I do post pictures on there from, I might not have too many pictures, if any, from this, because it's a little different. It's a limit on how many pictures you could take in the KI. I did take some via the print screen. I'll try to upload some of those. And thank you very much. Till next time.